Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today, we are solving the energy crisis. How do you end fatigue?
Well, unless you have fatigue, you may not know what that is. So today we're actually going to go talk about what is fatigue, what is fatigue, what is associated with fatigue, but most importantly, how do we solve this problem? So we're going to dive right in, and we have a surprise guest. Here we go, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Transform Table Talk Live. I'm your co-host, Anna Manuel, alongside Dr. Maggie Yu. Dr. Maggie, for those people who might be joining us for the first time, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, everybody. So I am a functional medicine MD, 27 and a half years in practice. My first 10 years as a family medicine doctor. And then I went into all my own mystery illnesses. And the last, 18 years of it have been practicing as a functional medicine physician, a teacher, and an author of now an international bestseller. So if anybody wants to take a look at the book, it's called 8 Out of the Box Ways to Transform Your Health. There's going to be a link if you want to get a copy of that. Today we are here and we're going to be talking fatigue, the energy crisis.
Energy, I love it because it sounds like, I'm a news anchor. It sounds like it's ripped from the headlines. We're tackling the energy crisis, the nation's energy crisis. But it's more than that. It's the world's energy crisis because it's the crisis within ourselves. And so many people who come to you are dealing with extreme fatigue.
Yeah. And let's talk about it. When we were talking fatigue, I'm going to ask everybody who's watching right now to actually rate it. Okay. So on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the worst you could imagine being fatigued, tired, right? And whether that's brain, body, emotional, right? How many of us are just drained in any of those areas? 10 is the worst, 0 is no problem at all. I want you to put a number. Every single person write a number in chat right now. I'm going to give my number and I'm going to have Ann give her number, but I want everybody to get real and get honest. What is the number? What is the level of daily fatigue that you have? And bonus points, right? If it's bonus points, if you write the number, but you also add in, do you think that it's physical? Do you think it's emotional? Right? Do you think it's brain fatigue? Like your mind is just tired? Describe, like put it 1 or 2 words even next to number, describe what does fatigue mean to you? Because I want people to, as a collectively, for us to understand how massive this problem is and how it can manifest differently in each person. And yet the word itself is frequently dismissed. We are dismissed all the time. People are just like, I'm so tired of seeing the person who's sick and tired of being sick and tired. Do you know how many times in the back room, in the doctor's office, we're in the back complaining about you and your fatigue as, oh my God, I'm so tired of seeing another person like this. Like you're not being taken seriously. Look at this. Where are we at?
It's a lot of 8s, 9s, some are 10s, some are 6s.
Yeah.
I'm seeing some really high numbers overall, I would say. And when
Right.
he says stress is part of this for her.
Yeah, tired of all the stuff that's happening around you, right? Outside, right? It's just overwhelmed, flooded, right? And
Janice
then,
has no sleep.
right? And then Sabrina, I know Sabrina's coming in from Switzerland. Like some of these numbers, right? Tell me additionally in the comments, where are you tired? What is the fatigue?
Where is the fatigue? Yeah, we love to see it. We have people watching from all over the world right now. Somebody coming to us from Australia. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And yeah, really, Dr. Maggie, seeing a disturbingly number of people here saying they're at a 9, they're at a 10.
Yeah.
This is a crisis.
And so for me, like I think about it and I think that there is physical, like literally bone chilling level of fatigue, right? Where you're physically tired to the point where you're bedridden, can't get out of bed, right? And the funny thing is like people think that when you sleep, you're supposed to wake up with energy, but yet a lot of people wake up with an empty tank. Like I would love to know how many people that are answering here wake up with that level. And as the day goes on, it just gets worse. It's not always even at the end of the day. We wake up tired. And the question is, why? Why the heck is it? Right? And 9, some people are saying 9. And I'm curious, those of you that are alumni that are watching right now, type alumni in chat. And tell us where your fatigue was before and where it is, what number is at now, and what solved it. Like I would love for people to share their success. Success leaves clues all over the place. I want this people who've been successfully been able to turn it around. And even if you're not an alumni, if you've been able to turn it around, tell me why, right? Because the most important reason is why. And on top of it too, how much of the fatigue is energetic and mental? Like how much of that is the energy inside you, mental fatigue, brain fatigue? Your brain just cannot take another input. It's overwhelmed. There's too much output that's been happening, right? And how many of you with fatigue have been told that your labs are normal?
Yeah.
That's the other piece here. How many people feel dismissed about their fatigue because all their labs have been normal? And I'm going to ask you guys a really big question here. Do you even know what labs you got that concluded that your labs are normal and that there's really no explanation? Do we really even want to know the fatigue panel that doctors order for you and what it consists of?
What is yeah, it's like, what are they testing? How are they trying to figure this out? You're being
Yeah.
told you're normal. Are there certain diagnoses that go hand in hand with some of these feelings of fatigue and pain and brain fog and the things you were mentioning?
So today, I really want to point out to you guys why you should pay attention today, why pay attention to this podcast and the show today, because I'm going to list a bunch of diagnoses here, right? But the thing is that you're going to get three main actionable things that are accessible to you to be able to start turning around fatigue. Okay, that's the reason. Now, someone already wrote long haul COVID, chronic fatigue syndrome, POTS weakness, right? Okay, so those are some of the major causes, right? Can long haul cause that? Can the big C cause that? Absolutely. POTS, can it cause that? Definitely. Does POTS and dysautonomia? Those are conditioned. POTS is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And hint, hint, there's a special guest coming up to talk about POTS, okay? Just so you know. So POTS is where your heart rate and your blood pressure can go up and down with positional changes. Dysautonomia, heart rate changes, blood pressure changes. It has to do with your nervous system. Then someone just said thyroid. Here's an alumni. Her fatigue level went from 9 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
And her linchpins were blood sugar. So blood sugar issues, adrenal support, and thyroid. So can low thyroid and hormone issues cause fatigue? And those of you who have hormonal imbalances, thyroid issues, whether it's Hashimoto's, Graves, or had your thyroid removed, can that be a cause of fatigue? Majorly, right? And then we're talking about things like autoimmune diagnosis, right? So how many people with autoimmune diagnosis with rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, Sjogren's, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis have fatigue, right? So it can be associated with these. And then we now have big diagnoses related with allergy symptoms like histamine intolerance and mast cell activation. How many of you with those issues, with irritable bowel syndrome, histamine or allergy issues, have fatigue as a co-current issue with it as well? It is absolutely 100% related.
And I can tell you, since the pollen is all circulating right now in the United States, at least where I am, I feel the fatigue from it. And I said to my husband the other day, I think that pollen is exhausting me.
And allergies be related to fatigue? Type in chat. What do you guys think? I want you guys to vote. Do you guys think allergies, whether it's hay fever, whether it's asthma in your lungs, or allergies that are food related, do you think that can be a major cause of fatigue? And if so, how? Yeah. Bonus points.
People are chiming in. Yes. And I just want to show Rachel, another alumni. Her fatigue was at an 8 to a 9. Now after the program, a 1 or a 2.
Well, who wants their fatigue to be gone or a level 1, 2? Who wants it?
And everybody chiming in, yes, 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 to the question you just asked about allergies, 100% related to fatigue, they're saying.
Yeah. And then we got someone here with histamine overload. I'm curious right now how many of you guys are watching from YouTube. Okay, so many people from YouTube are chiming in. So I want to give you guys a heads up. Facebook and Meta is going to not allow us to stream live into the Facebook group in about a week. So I'm asking every single one of you right now, we're going to supply a link to the live that's happening right now that you're watching on YouTube. I want everybody to click the link and head over to YouTube. And over there, make sure you subscribe and make sure you ring the bell to get notified, because that will then be the only way you get notified when we are live in any of these. So, and if you're watching from YouTube, type a boom in your comments right now. If you're watching from YouTube, I want our YouTube audience to show us some love. That'd be really awesome. Okay, Wendy's watching from YouTube. Love it. Thank you. All right, so transition here. Okay, so all the symptoms and diagnoses that we've talked about, we have one person here who's a special guest who have had many of these diagnoses and symptoms. So without further ado, I would love to introduce Miss Emma.
Hi.
Hello, Emma.
All right, do I do my intro now?
Well, yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. We can see underneath your name some of the things that you were dealing with prior to working with Dr. Maggie. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself outside of your diagnoses, first of all, and then we can talk a little bit about your health. So who is Emma?
Hi, everybody. I'm Emma. I am 23. I'm an amateur seamstress, a musician. I have a bachelor's in anthropology, and I'm currently on a break from school planning to go back to get my master's in teaching English as a second language. So.
Wow. And you have a lot of creative endeavors, it sounds like. I can tell you like to stay busy. You even have, it looks like maybe some of your hobbies in the background behind you, right?
Oh, yeah. And I have a wall of guitars behind the computer here, too.
I've never heard her play. You're holding out on me.
I'll post it. I will post it. I'll send you a link after the live.
I think she needs to pull the guitar down at some point during this live stream and just give us a little something. But no, she's like, it's fine now. Okay. But to be able to have the energy to do all of these things, I mean, you have to feel well. And it sounds like you weren't feeling well for the last several years. Should we get into it, Dr. Maggie?
Yeah, she's 23. So you tell us, where were you? Well, I mean, we're talking about fatigue. So what was life like before?
Yeah, so at 19 was when most of my issues hit. And it I was killing it for the most part. I was going to school 18 credits a quarter, all this kind of stuff, like overworking, honestly. And then when I was 19, within 3 months, I went from fully functional. I had my own apartment. I was working and everything to medically disabled, had to quit my job, go on medical leave from school, move back in with my parents. Like, it was a very steep decline. And over 3 years, I tallied it once, over 20 different doctors. None of them could do anything.
What were they telling you, though? What were they saying at all?
Oh, I got tons of different comments. I got that I was too young to be this sick. I got that it was anxiety because I was a uni student. I got that, lots of just it's anxiety. When I got the fibro diagnosis, they were like, oh, your brain has just learned to misinterpret normal stimuli as painful.
So lots of gaslighting. Who can relate? Who has been told by a doctor that it's in your head, that it's anxiety, that you're too old or too young or too something to be dealing with this, so that can't be the cause? Can you relate to Emma's story? Very frustrating, I'm sure.
Well, the other piece to Emma's story that makes me my blood boil is the level of medical gaslighting and dismissiveness that we going in as patients receive. Like I was telling you at the beginning, what you don't realize is all the doctors are in the doctor room, lunchroom, rolling their eyes at what's the next person that's going to come in with fatigue and fibromyalgia and normal labs. Because, well, to be honest, there's not much in our world with the small panel of labs that we get that we can do. Like, they do have normal labs in the tiny weeny little panel we were talking about, right? But think about the level of fatigue that Emma experienced had a serious impact because, number one, it affected her mobility. I mean, you were walking with a cane.
Sometimes in a wheelchair. Yeah.
Wheelchair. Could you drive?
With hand controls. Sometimes.
You went from before being a normal active person to all of this sudden, you kind of life ground to a halt.
Yeah, I walked to and from work. I didn't have a car, so I used public transit to get around everywhere. And that's very physically demanding in the area that I live in. And it seriously, over 3 months, it was insane. Nobody knew what was wrong with me.
And I think at 19, she became bedridden.
Yeah, I was bedridden for a bit, and then I did some treatment methods that brought a little bit of physical mobility back, and that's when I was able to start using a cane instead of just a wheelchair. But it fluctuated a lot for 3 years, where I would have a few months where I'd be kind of okay using a cane, and then I'd have a few months where I'm just in bed sleeping most of the time, having trouble leaving the house, using a wheelchair in the house. Yeah.
So my question here is that for people, I want people to know context and time. So this started at 19. She's currently 23. She started, she graduated from our Transform program in January. So this is just a couple months ago. So tell me where you're at now. What did you share with us yesterday? Tell us where you're at right now.
Where I'm at now, I have not used a cane since Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's insane. I haven't used a cane since Thanksgiving. I've been going to physical therapy regularly since November because I also tore a disc in my back related to all of these symptoms. Tore that and was bedridden for 2 months prior to joining the program. Been in physical therapy for that since November. Haven't had a single pain flare after any of my appointments in that time, which is unbelievable. And the fatigue has been the biggest thing to change, though, because I was tired all the time from 12 years old, and now I wake up and I have energy in the morning, and I don't get depleted after a single task. And yesterday I went shopping, I bought myself clothes, I went to the library, I drove myself there, and then I came back and I made dinner for me and my sisters. It's insane.
Not only can you take care of yourself now, you're independent, you're going back to school, you're getting ready to go back to school. Are you working? I know you had said you recently started a job. I mean,
yeah, I started working, and like last year we were looking at me having to apply for disability benefits because nobody in my life thought that I would be able to make this comeback. And now I'm working. I can pay for my own food now, which is crazy. Yeah.
and you're able to also give to others. And
Mhm.
I think that's something we'll touch on here because that's part of your DNA in that you want to be that person. You want to be helping other people. And Dr. Maggie, I know, will touch on that a little bit about that kind of mindset. But I am so curious, and I know people who are experiencing some sort of fatigue at home are so curious as to, okay, well, what was the secret? How did this happen? How does she feel so much better from being wheelchair bound and bed bound to now you're able to function again? So what is it, Dr. Maggie?
Whoa, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. And while we're doing the drum roll, I do want everyone who has, I mean, we have hundreds of people, alumni, and hundreds of people who have been able to turn from like 9 to 1, right? Everybody else, type in chat what worked for you. Okay, let's collectively gather evidence of what worked for you. So if you're an alumni, you went from 9 to 1, write down what it was. Somebody else mentioned thyroid, somebody mentioned adrenal, somebody mentioned blood sugar. I'm curious, I'm going to have Emma actually tell us what for you was the biggest game changer.
I'm so sorry, my dog's barking. Let me just pick it up real quick.
While she's getting with her dog, I'm seeing that people are commenting still about their own personal declines. They said, I got sick last year and it only got worse with my hyperthyroidism. So Dr. Maggie, this autoimmune attack.
Well, this is really interesting. And we've talked about it the last couple of weeks, talking about hormones and the idea of people who have Hashimoto's, because people mentioned thyroid, people mentioned adrenals, and people mentioned ovary hormones as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so for Christy, hi, Christy, it was her iron and thyroid hormones. So I want to, Emma, how big of a deal was hormones for you?
Oh, it was like the key for most of my symptoms.
And so I wanted to just demonstrate for you, because we actually reviewed Emma's before and after, just focusing on adrenals. Like a lot of times people think like it's all about thyroid or maybe even their sex hormones with the ovaries. And the missing link in fatigue for me is adrenals and adrenal health. I'm going to give a little background just to say that your regular conventional doctors know nothing about adrenal fatigue. I know, because I am a physician for the past 28 years. I had to learn this outside of medical school and all my training with all the medical doctors poo-pooing this. So the adrenals is really critical because your ovaries or your testiculars are sex hormones. You got your thyroid, which makes thyroid hormones, and then you have the adrenals. They look like kidneys in your back, and they make adrenal hormones. And the adrenals make multiple different types of hormones. They make some progesterone, they make some cortisol, they make some norepinephrine, epinephrine, adrenaline. So there's a lot of different types of hormones that your adrenals will make. Now, one of the things that's really critical for someone who's fatigued in Emma's story that we will get to is why do people get to this stage of adrenal fatigue? So I'm going to show a dramatic before and after. Get ready for it, everybody. Okay. So this on the left side is for reals where Emma's adrenal hormones, these black dots are the cortisol dots. It's just hormones from her adrenals. When you look at this to orient everybody, yes, this is the lesson. There's the top red line, which is too high, and then the bottom red line is too low. Okay. And if you notice on the left side, this is her literally in November. Okay. This is just a couple months ago.
She's flatlined.
Yeah, she's what we call flatline. What stage adrenal fatigue is this, everybody who's been through my hormone masterclass? Type in chat who've been through our programs. What stage adrenal fatigue is this? And by the way, this is someone who, have you ever had your adrenals tested from the age of 19 to 23 while you were literally dying in bed?
No, and I thought adrenal fatigue was fake before seeing you.
You thought it was fake?
Probably
Yeah,
because that's what providers have said. And all the alumni are chiming in rapid fire here saying stage 3.
Yes. So this is clearly stage 3 adrenal fatigue. You can't get more classic than this. However, who would have suspected this in a 23-year-old? I'm serious. Who the hell would suspect this in a 23-year-old? Never, right? But we see this all the time. I'm going to ask Emma, and I'm going to ask anybody who's been through Hormone Masterclass in our programs, how often do you see a stage 3 adrenal fatigue on the results? Data. This is their actual saliva data hormone results, right? Mm-hmm. And Emma, how frequently have you seen other people with stage 3 adrenal fatigue in your experience being in the program?
Pretty common. Like
all the freaking time, right? And here's the thing is, why do we allow ourselves, number one, why do we think it's fake when there's data here right in front of you? Everybody see the dots, okay? This is not my imagination. This woman had the symptoms for years. This woman now has laboratory data points, right? And why do we dismiss this? That we call it fake, and we actually dismiss her symptoms and the fact that this data exists. So how critical would it be to get this data? Huge. Why? What do you do with this data? Let everybody get your hormones tested, really get excited and learn about adrenals. Go to my YouTube channel and learn about adrenal, because I have tons of trainings around adrenal fatigue, just so you guys know, right? And if you want a hormone checklist, type hormone checklist in chat. But my question is, okay, you got your hormones tested. And looking at this, obviously everybody in our programs know this is stage 3 adrenal fatigue. What the heck did you do to then turn to the right, just like literally 3 months later, where look at the recovery. Look at the recovery her cortisols have turned into, right? So her cortisol went from 0 to hero. Now it's like, woo!
But then I really love seeing throughout the day how she is maintaining being in that happy zone. I mean, this is a total turnaround.
This is a total turnaround. And the question is like, Emma, what did you do with this data? What did you learn in the programs to do with this data? That's always a critical question. How did you solve adrenal fatigue here?
Supplementation, getting on adrenal support, getting on digestion to actually digest my supplements, okay. Which I wasn't on before.
Yeah.
And I cut coffee. I haven't had coffee in months. So that's helped a lot as well. Yeah.
So she mentioned digestion, Dr. Mackey, and I think I want to dig in a little bit more about that.
Before we do that, though, I want to finish on this hormone piece. So adrenal fatigue, right? This is one of the things we talked about as an actionable item for you. So what I'm going to tell you is your doctors are not trained on adrenal fatigue, okay? And in fact, even many functional doctors are not. I mean, Anand, you shared your experience. You were working with functional medicine doctors. And what were you told, honestly, by your functional medicine doctor?
They just aren't educated about it. If they admit that it exists in the first place, right, then they have to tell you, I don't, if they're honest, I don't know that much about this. You know, you need to find a practitioner who does know about this. But many doctors won't even admit that this is something that exists as it is. Adrenal fatigue, that's not real.
Yeah. And I think I went over your adrenal results live on the air too, Anne. This was a while back. How many people like actually want to learn from me about your adrenals and about your hormones? Because I actually have a whole playlist on YouTube around hormones and adrenals. And how many people want to see me review Anne's hormones live? Type in chat, because our team can get you those resources. Better yet, I also have by the way, I didn't even realize this. You can text. I didn't realize this until recently, but do you know you can text us live? So I want to actually put a number across the screen and in the comment section. You can actually text a live member of our team. We have a VIP concierge team behind this number. If you text that number with your name and your symptoms, our team will be able to get the resources you need. If you want the hormone checklist, if you want a resource on adrenal hormone training, or my review of Anne's adrenal hormones, or maybe right now you want a link to the adrenal playlist. You can text that number right now with your name and tell us what it is. What is it? What resource would you like us to share with you? This is new. This is new. So that's another way, by the way. And then if you're on Facebook, do check your Facebook Messenger messages, because we've actually always been sending out resources. If you are on Facebook Messenger, we've likely sent you a message and some resources, but you just don't see it. A lot of times people don't realize it's under message requests. That's the other thing. So talking about adrenals, it's really critical for me. Like, what's something actionable you can do? You have to learn about the adrenals. They can't help you with something they don't know anything about. So I would say the first step to that is, number one, is to check out the hormone checklist and guide that we have. Okay. That's the first step towards it. Number two, there is, you can test your hormones, right? And we have so many videos about accurate hormone testing. And then number three, there is supplementation that is helpful for your adrenals, but the right supplementation is really critical. So there are ways. We also have a program called My Hormone Masterclass, where you work directly with us to get the testing, the education, and also live guidance to know exactly what to do. In Emma's case, though, there were specific supplements that you found helpful. Like based on your pattern with adrenal fatigue stage 3, what supplements did you take, and how quickly did it turn around for you?
I was on 85 plus for about 2 months, and then I switched over to Pro Adrenex. So I've been on that since.
So we talked about a nuclear option. So depending on the stage of adrenal fatigue, it is going to be very specific what we or our team would recommend. So for her, it sounds like there was a nuclear option item, and then Pro Adrenex is what what you're currently on.
Yep.
And how long did it take after supplementation? Did you notice a difference?
Let's see, with the ADP5 plus, probably about 2 weeks before I noticed the difference. At the 2-month mark, it was working so well that I was starting to like get anxious after taking it. And I was like, okay, that means it's time to move off of the nuclear option.
But that's helpful when you retested.
That's when I did the retest.
You can retest, and when you retest, you can adjust. So proper supplementation is really critical. Learning about adrenal health is really critical. But there is a mindset, though, behind this. I mean, why are we seeing stage 3 adrenal fatigue at an epidemic levels in people that are younger and younger and younger?
I know, you're seeing it so often. And I do have a question for you about that supplementation that I'm seeing some people asking also. They know it's important. They can tell that it's important to get the proper testing done so that you're supplementing based on your results. If someone hasn't done that testing, is there a blanket option of a supplement that they could take to try to address this, or do they need to go through the testing first?
You know, I am a scientist, and I'm a data nerd, and I'm a scientist, and I'm a teacher. I would probably be the one of those people that would be, especially with adrenal health, I would never tell someone to just get on a supplement without proper testing, because depending on the pattern, and I tell people this a lot, which is that what I do is I teach skills of pattern recognition. And I'm going to ask you guys, like those of you who have had their adrenal education and live training with us, is, you know, how many subtle ways with which the recommendations for supplements needs to be personalized, tweaked, retested, timed, those kind of, it's an art, right? So I don't think there is a blanket adrenal supplement, right? I'm happy. I think we could provide a link to our hormone supplementation, but in the adrenals specifically, know your data. That way you can learn and craft your specific solution. I think that's really important.
And if somebody does want to get their data, if they're focused on their hormones and they say, this is probably the key to my fatigue and what I need to address, you do have my hormone masterclass that you offer.
We have a class with a program, and in the store, we also sell a hormone test kit, right? So sometimes people just need to get their hormones tested to be like, wow, I really do have a problem. And that's the motivator for them to learn more and get help. So, I mean, we do sell saliva hormone testing in the store. If that is something, if nothing else, you're like, I just want evidence that what I'm experiencing is real and there's a hormonal explanation. There's nothing like data to validate, you know what? You're right. Because I will tell you, like Emma did not believe adrenal fatigue was real. What happened when you saw your data?
I'm like, well, this explains everything.
Literally is like, I mean, and we see this on calls. You've seen it where it's like, it's almost like an ugly cry moment when people realize like it's not in my head, it's real, and there's data that proves it. Like one of my favorite statements that people say to me is they say, Dr. Maggie, you're right. I'm like, oh, can you just say it again? I'm like, you're right. I'm like, can you just say it again? Come on, give it to me again, right? But here's the thing, like when Emma, and I'm going to ask her experience, what did it feel like when you actually had data right in front of you, scientific data, along with your own education and medical professionals around you and people around you who are experiencing similar things and learning with you? When that was like, Emma, there's a reason you're laying in bed. You're in stage 3 adrenal fatigue. You know what? It is connected. It is your hormones. You're right.
I felt like I'd won a court case. That's how I felt. I was like, I've been being honest and it's legit, and now I have evidence to back it up. And I've been looking for that evidence for so long. So it was amazing.
It's validating, but then also you're starting to get information and a plan of, okay, well, now what do I do about it? Which feels even better.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. That's the thing is for me, it's like we get into almost a mindset when we get dismissed. It's the whole dismiss, deny, delay. I call it the 3 Ds of medical gaslighting. Okay. Dismiss, 3 dick moves of medical gaslighting. Dismiss, deny, delay, right? And so for me, let's do the opposite. And as a patient, all of you guys, I mean, I have been a patient as well. At a certain point, you realize that you need to take matters into your own hand and make a stand. Right? I mean, just today, I had to walk out of a meeting today because I felt dismissed. And I feel like sometimes we're made to feel bad about not being listened to, we have data that are our symptoms. And sometimes we can even comment data with someone. I don't ever want to have another person being dismissed, denied, or delayed care. Right? So that's how important data is, and your own data. Susan says, when I got my saliva testing come back, I was devastated and relieved. Relieved. Stage 3 adrenal fatigue. I'm not crazy. Not only is she crazy, not only is she not crazy. I know you, Susan. Not only is she not crazy, but she's super smart. And she knows her body and she has data to back it up, and she knew a way to solve it and get out of it. So how many layers of validation? So for me, those of you that have fatigue, one actionable step is, what are you going to do today to validate what you're experiencing is real? Right? Are you going to go get a hormone checklist or guide to look at it? Are you going to educate yourself about adrenal fatigue on our channel? Right? Are you going to get some data? Are you going to enroll in taking action to work with somebody who knows or can educate you on it? These are all steps that you can do to get yourself validated. Get validated that the cause is real. So that's one big takeaway. Number 2, though, Emma, you talked about digestion. So I do want to talk about with all the people think like, she mentioned caffeine, she mentioned digestion. Food does matter, right? Input, what you put in your system matters physically, as in like what food you put in. So how does digestion or even food allergies, how did it play a role in your fatigue?
Yeah, turns out I probably have genetic gluten intolerance and allergic to like all things cow dairy. And I was eating both of those things fairly regularly.
But wait, look at the standard American diet. The pyramid on the very bottom is white grains. It's grains, right? So we actually consume a lot. For her, gluten was the worst thing because she actually has a genetic gluten intolerance that she discovered, right? And then you said the other part you said was, oh, dairy. She had a problem with dairy.
Cow
right?
dairy.
Cow dairy. But she could do goat and sheep. That's the other thing. How many of you guys think it's all dairy and now, and she has specificity. She can do goat and sheep, right? How important it is to know what your food sensitivities actually are. How quickly after eliminating gluten, then she did the process of food mapping. For those of you that are interested to learn more about what food mapping is, we have a whole 6-part training series on food mapping. So you can type food mapping in chat. You can even text the number that we talked about earlier if you want to learn more about food mapping and the training series that we have. We actually have a link that we can share with you with the resources there. So with food mapping, what did you discover about your digestion? And what did you discovered the gluten and the dairy. What did you discover about your digestion?
I probably have some digestive issues. I didn't have IBS type symptoms going into the program. So like week 2, I was like, I'm probably good on my digestion. Being arrogant, not knowing anything. But I got on digestive support and all these supplements, some of which I had been taking prior to the program or different versions of it, they weren't working. And now they're working. And I think it's because I'm digesting them now.
What a concept.
The other thing too is not just food, it's also like supplements and medication, right? So with supplements and medication, a lot of you guys are taking some really expensive supplements. Some people are on, how many people have a suitcase of supplements or is taking supplements like a couple $100 a month worth of supplements, but yet you're not getting better. If you're that, right, suitcase in chat right now. How many people on suitcases of supplements, right?
Just a funny story. I took so many supplements that I had to order from a company and my husband never lets me live it down. The company's name was called Stuff Seniors Need. And, you know, it's because I had to have a pill case that was like the size of my body. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people can relate to it. This person saying suitcase and spending lots and lots of money on it.
She wasn't just embracing her worth. She was embracing suitcases of supplements. Her name is Embrace Your Worth. And I'm like, she was busy embracing supplements, right? Embrace your worth.
I love it. Very clever.
I love it.
So when you talk about working on your digestion, then what are we talking about in specifics? What did you do specifically, Emma? What were you taking?
Digest it.
Yeah.
With every meal.
So I dig a lot deeper on digestion. Like, so we have YouTube trainings on it, but in the book, 8 out of the box ways to transform your health, I have a whole chapter on every single step in digestion. So, LOL. So for everybody who actually wants to, if you want to get the quick and dirty lowdown on digestion, that chapter on I call it digestion, the first domino. There's a link here. You could pop over. By the way, the book, we got Amazon finally, after 4 weeks of wrangling with them, to drop the book on Amazon to a ridiculous price, which I won't even name right here. So if you want the book at a ridiculous price, I have a link for you guys in chat, and click the link and hop over there. Digestion is huge, but I went over, there's so many steps in digestion, right? And you can, based on your education, your own data from your symptoms, and based on even food mapping and what food you're allergic to, figure out which part is broken. So Emma, based on your experience and your education, which part do you know is broken?
Stomach acid.
Low stomach acid. Low stomach acid. Huge.
Yeah.
Right. And I have tons of trainings around low stomach acid, just saying, and digestion. So part of that food mapping series, we talk about digestion and how low stomach acid as a symptom itself is responsible for probably 50% of your fatigue, people. Wow. Okay. So question, when you realized it was low stomach acid, you started digest it, how quickly did you notice a turnaround, and what turned around for you?
Oh, like a week. My fatigue got progressively better every week when I added a new step in.
I mean, this is something that you had been dealing with for like the last 4 years prior to starting the program, right? You said at 19 and you're 23 now.
Longer. The fatigue was since I was like 12. I was dependent on coffee to get through school when I was like 15. Like it was bad.
And so within a week of focusing on this, you started to turn it around. No pun intended that she's over here with the mug right now. Is there coffee in that mug?
No, there's cacao. I haven't had coffee in months.
This is green tea.
Okay. So yeah, you're dropping your dependence then off of like surviving off of coffee, and you're able to branch out and drink other things out of a mug now. But yeah, within a week, and then you said every week it got better and better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Digestion is actually quick, man. I mean, and I'm going to ask everybody in chat, like, and so the people that are new to us, right? If you're new to me, and this is the first time you're listening, I talk a ton about digestion because to me is one of the most quickest actionable lever that you can do, and results can be within sometimes a day. I was just speaking with Jason, and Jason had told me he had really bad heartburn, was on omeprazole, Prilosec medication for like 6 years. and literally in passing. And this was 6 months ago. And I had said to him, dude, if there's one thing you can do, just do one thing, is go start digested, 1 with small meals, 2 with big meals. That's it. Right. And then that was it. I didn't see Jason for like 6 months, didn't talk to him. You know what happened to him? He lost 60 pounds.
Oh my God.
Jason, if you're watching, type in chat because he's already reviewed us on Google. He lost 60 pounds. His heartburn was gone within the first week. He got off his omeprazole.
Wow.
Yeah, he just left a review on Google. Actually, and this was like, this is all I did, Maggie. I just got on your digested, right?
Well, that's pretty amazing. We're getting some questions coming in about Digest It. Can I ask you a couple quick questions?
Yeah, go for it.
Elise has asked this question. She's been persistent, so I want to make sure she gets an answer here. She's really wondering about, by the way, she said she read the book, she loved it. She wants to take Digest It, wants to know though, can anybody take Digest It? Are there contraindications, ulcers? Can you take it indefinitely? What's the deal?
That's a big, long ass question. But I am going to say that, and I do talk about it in the book quite a bit. It's in our programs. There's a lot of subtleties here, but can anyone take digestive? The answer is, does everyone need digestive support? And the answer is yes. And the question is, when do you need digestive support? Every time you eat. But the other issue is, what's the underlying cause of digestive issues? Well, 80% of it is genetic. So we're born with it. So this is where, I can remember as a kid being on the toilet and taking like, an hour plus, and I talk about the story when my sister and I were very close in age, would sit back to back on the toilet, swinging our legs and talking and singing and stuff for like an hour and 2 hours to have bowel movements. Little did I know I had low stomach acid and genetic gluten intolerance till years later, but I have had constipation since a child. So we can start tracing this back now. So it's not contraindicated, but here's the thing is it does contain some stomach acid in there. So what's really interesting is you'll have about 80-90% of people who have low stomach acid. They take Digested and they tolerate it, no problems. And they may even want to go up in dose because that tells you how much you need, right? But there is a small percentage of people that, like maybe 5% of people, like 1 in 20, that when they take it, their heartburn gets worse. And the reason it gets worse is sometimes is because they've been on acid suppression medications for so long that they don't even know what to do with it. Their body sees the stomach acid like, whoa, kind of thing. So there are reasons where someone who's been a long time on these omeprazole, some medications, when they first get stomach acid, they may do a whoa kind of thing. And then somebody says, that doesn't mean you shouldn't take it. It means you should take it and then figure out what's going on with food allergies and stuff. And then later on work on lowering some of those omeprazole and other medications. But the other thing is if someone has stomach ulcers, is it contraindicated? And I'm going to ask you, do you know why you have stomach ulcers in the first place?
Is it low stomach acid?
Your digestion sucks.
Yeah.
The ulcer is a result of bad digestion. So if people with ulcers and heartburn actually need digestive support even more. So it's an external symptom of an underlying digestive problem. So it's not contraindicated to take digestive for anyone, but there is some people, most people, 80-90% of people will immediately get some massive improvement, and you'll have 5 or 10% who might have to work with it. And then the other issue is how many people out there have mast cell or histamine intolerance, right? Or have tolerability to tolerating any supplement. So in our programs, there has to be a nuanced approach where we look at somebody who may have multiple food allergies or multiple medication or supplement sensitivities, right? And we have, how many people have swallowing problems? So this is why if you go to our GI collection, Digested isn't the only product. It's the best general first line product that's good for 90% of people, right? But if you have swallowing problems and can't do a capsule, I would do Digested chewable.
And there's another benefit to that if you don't want to take, that doesn't have some certain ingredients in it too, right?
That's the other thing. Digested chewable doesn't have any stomach acid. So if let's say somebody takes Digested first and says, I get a little bit of worse heartburn with it, maybe it's an early tolerability problem, you can always then take Digested chewable, which doesn't contain any stomach acid, and optimize and start working on digestion that way. And as time improves, you then may be able to convert that to the Digested regular capsule, right? So there's all these different intricacies that go with it. So everybody needs help on digestion is the key, But the first step, I would say for 99% of individuals, I would start with digest it, regular capsule, 1 with small meals, 2 with big meals, unless you're allergic to one of the ingredients, right?
Okay.
But most importantly, you need to get educated and you need to work with professionals. You need to get yourself educated, get the master's degree in digestion. This is what we do in my food mapping masterclass, and work with trained professionals to work with your medication, your food allergies, supplement allergies, tolerability, and medical issues to make sure you know exactly how to actually fine tune your digestion. And the results can be quick. Okay. Cool.
This is so appreciative. Thank you. And I know that's probably going to help a lot of other people too, because they might have been wondering the same thing. So really helpful. Thank you, Dr. Maggie.
Judy asked, can we open the capsule and put it in water and drink it? You can, but it doesn't taste very good. If you're going to do that, I'd rather you do digested chewable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really good option, right? And by the way, because we deal with mast cell histamine and all that, we have go to our GI collection, because if you look at our GI collection under digestive products, we have probably about 10 different products. So people who don't have gallbladders, for example, we have them add in ox bile, right? People who have mast cell might be wanting to look at one of our other products like quercetin bromelain. Oh, by the way, in the book, in the digestion chapter, I actually go through all the different products, not all, but like the main 6 or 7 products we have for digestion and how to troubleshoot it. So if you want to get the book,
at a ridiculously low price right now.
It took us 4 weeks, and you know the hell I
was with you when you were battling the powers that be at Amazon to say
we launched 4 weeks ago, and we became bestseller list on 7 different categories. And we were working with Amazon for like 3 weeks to get them to get it to the ridiculously low price that it just came to yesterday. So it is there. Go for it. It's ridiculously. There's a link. Hop over there. But do check out our GI collection. But most importantly, get educated, right? We actually, so my food mapping masterclass is where you have to get educated about the digestion. You get testing for your food sensitivities, and you work with us and our team to troubleshoot your data to get your digestion system right. If you are fatigued, every single person who said that they were level 5 and above with fatigue, your digestion and your food allergies is responsible for 50 to 80% of it.
That's a fact bomb.
Wow.
Getting some rave reviews here, just people saying how amazing the book was. They read it in one day. And then Susan said, it's the most important book you will ever read.
Every single one of you who have bought the book, I need you to jump to Amazon right now and do a review. We are at 52 reviews. Not that I'm counting, but we have to get to 100 reviews in order for Amazon to even show the book as recommended to other people. So I would love every one of you who've already read it or reading it and enjoying it, please go over there and hop over and give us a review so that more people can learn about it and also take advantage of the ridiculously low price.
So they're going to do it. They're saying, you got it, Dr. Maggie. So, all right. And other people are saying, thank you for this discussion. This is really informative because we've touched on hormones now. We've touched on digestion, and both of these were really big game changers for Emma in turning around her fatigue. Was there anything else we wanted to continue on about digestion, or do we want to move on to other things that were?
Well, Emma shared, for you, for me, huge. And we're going to talk about this is we have in our program what we call mindset to mind growth. You got to change the pattern of your thoughts, and the body is always following the mind, which is one of the things I talk about in our mindset to mind growth chapter in the book. And so I want to know, Emma, how big was mindset to mind growth for you? How much did your mind grow as part of this process to overcome fatigue?
It was hugely important.
You think so too?
I second that. I live with her. I know how important this was. So yeah, but Dr. Maggie, she talked a little bit earlier about how she wants to do for others. Even once she got a little bit of energy back, she's like, now I can cook for my sisters, right?
So there actually is a thought pattern that's associated with chronic fatigue. Okay, everybody think about this. Okay, I want you guys, this is part of your validation. There actually is a specific thought pattern. People who have fatigue levels of 5 and above on a chronic basis that people are stuck in, that creates this pattern of fatigue. So I've already talked about this in terms of autoimmune disease before, and Dr. Gabor Mate, shout out to you, talks about specific thought patterns associated with MS, for example, or with ALS. And my mom had ALS. So there is, with autoimmune disease, there's a specific thought pattern associated with lack of forgiveness towards self and others. But with chronic fatigue, there's actually a specific thought pattern. And if you guys had to guess, what do you think it is? Susan's jumping in. I like this. Yeah, type in chat. What do you guys think is the thought pattern specifically associated with those who have chronic fatigue syndrome, who have POTS, right? Emma, what do you think was one pattern that you were in? And this is from the ground. This is her telling, what was your pattern of thought that you were in?
Definitely a people pleaser, as my dog's crawling on me. Definitely. Like, I need to be the best academically to please my parents. I need to be there for my siblings because I'm an older sister. Like, I had to be there for everybody.
Yeah. People pleasing is the number one thought pattern for those with chronic fatigue syndrome. And you can think about this from an energetic standpoint, everybody. When you are people pleasing, you are outputting all the frickin' time. And here's the other thing. When you're pleasing someone else, you're depending on external factors or people that you're depending on other people's perception of when they're pleased. Like, this is as nebulous as it gets, because can you please everyone all the time?
Impossible.
Is that ever possible?
Impossible. I think, because are you pleasing yourself then?
Sorry,
yeah,
Brian.
people are saying, high achievers, perfectionist. It's a part of this mentality as well.
Sorry,
Definitely.
my camera.
She's getting her camera back in focus.
I'm getting my camera back. Does that happen to you guys?
You have a fancier camera than I'm working on.
Like,
Emma, can you relate to that?
I'm back. All right. So here's the thing. Okay, let's go back to people pleasing, right? With the people pleasing, what it is output. And when we look at Emma's adrenal fatigue, we're seeing people in their teens, in their 20s, in their 30s with adrenal fatigue that we would be like end stage 3 adrenal fatigue. But I think we're in a crisis of people pleasing where we're supposed to produce. There's a producer mentality. There's people pleasing involved. Do. And look, I'm as big as a people pleaser as I used to be. And I hit stage 3 adrenal fatigue at 36. She hit it at 19. Right? And Marissa says, I'm a high achiever, prove myself, please people, because my parents never really recognized me. I never realized it was such an issue until your program. Like, this is a thought pattern that has to change, which is we think that focusing on ourselves is selfish. And I'm going to tell you, the most important mindset shift you can make today is, how can I be more self-full? How can I be more self-full?
And I want you saying too, she said she could please everybody else, but not herself.
And it's a metaphor when we think about digestion, right? What we do is, it's like input really matters, right? But we don't even digest, meaning absorb from the food that we eat. Even the act of eating itself, with a broken digestive system, we have an input problem. We have an input problem right at the front of the gate at digestion with food. Now, energetically, I'm going to ask each one of you guys to, let's think about this. What is your practice to be self-full? Do you have a meditative, energetic, or spiritual practice or movement practice where you fill yourself full? Do you have that? I mean, type in chat, do you have it? And if so, what is that one thing? Right? Because I can tell you right now, I don't think I even knew what the word meant. Up until probably my mid or late 40s, I did not have one single practice in a day for self-fullness. Prayer, Christy, right? And I'm speaking from the truth here. And I want you guys to think about it. And I'm going to have Emma share what is her one self-full practice that she's been doing that's been a game changer. I'm going to ask Anne the same. Okay. I'll share mine as well. All right. And the rest of you can type in chat. That'll be really great. Right. And for Marissa, it's having boundaries. Self-full means that you need space to be full. How can you be full if everybody's in your space? Right. So it's something to think about. How can you be self-full if everybody's in your space mentally, physically, emotionally, right? So Emma, what's something that you've done for your self-fullness?
A dedicated time at the end of the day where I'm not working on any of my artistic hobbies or anything. I'm just watching a show or playing a video game. And I don't have to be there for anybody else. I don't have to produce anything or have good results in anything. I'm just existing.
It's the mindset around production, man. So just so you guys know, we do a lot. I do a lot of personality assessments, and the biggest thing that she's talking about is being a producer. How many people have producer mentality that our worth is tied to our ability to produce?
Yeah.
And so what Emma is saying is she picked activities where she wasn't producing. And that for her was either a video show, watching a show, or playing video games. My partner would really second the motion on video games.
I know it. He likes to wind down with it, but it's good. It's doing something for yourself, right? And then you really are energized by that. It allows you to relax, but also get your energy from it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, Dr. Maggie, I want to know, what is yours? What are you doing? What fills your cup in this way?
It's interesting. I think music. It's interesting for me, like music, like I feel like I am speaking so much, and also like music for me has a lot of emotional impact. And one of the things that I find really fun, and you guys know, when we start our masterminds, there's always music. It sets the frame, it sets the mood. There's an energy to music, and music to me is also spiritual. And I know, Emma, you play music. I don't play music, and I don't pretend to even be a good singer, but I sing. But what I find is, did you guys know that the act of singing actually raises what we call vagal tone? Singing raises vagal tone. So playing the piano for gay, right? For me, I am a singer. I am not a good singer, but the act of singing actually really helps fill my cup. Like I feel it, right? And I remember when I'm in my high school, I was part of a choir and we were in competitions, doing my nails, check my nails. I love it. I was even in choir, and we did choir competitions. And my first spiritual experience, meaning like feeling connectedness to every single cell on the planet, was on the stage during one of our performances. And I had never felt that level of spiritual connectedness to the entire universe as when I was part of singing and being part of collective consciousness in a singing activity with a choir competition. So it sounds really weird, but I love the act of singing, listening to music, and even in sleep, I have a playlist. I have everybody in programs. In my programs, I share my YouTube playlist, but there's always some music or sound that's playing even when I sleep, because the energy and the spirituality of music fills my cup, runneth over.
I love that.
Music, right? What about you, Anne?
Mine is about self-care. I love, at the end of the day, just kind of unwinding. And, I've really gotten into red light therapy. I don't even know. I think I've got 3 or 4 red light therapy devices for different things in my house now. And I love doing it. And if I'm using my stand-up device, you'll be very proud of this. I start doing some of my melt method foot treatments. So it's like a 2-for-1 thing there. But if I'm just want to relax on the couch and watch some TV, maybe. I even sent Dr. Maggie a picture of this the other day. Can you guys see this? It's me wearing my red light mask, just giving her a little what's up. Because, no shame in the game. What's going to make you feel good? What charges you? She's like, you're so crazy. Listen, I don't have a picture of me wearing the red light helmet. I got one of those too. But people are loving this as well. Jill's like, I love the red light. Yeah, because you not only feel like you're doing something good for yourself, but I find it very relaxing. The red light makes me sleep better too. Yes, ballin'. I love
really
it.
does. And I'm only, it's funny because Anne and I, like, we text each other, we talk, we're friends, and she would text me these ridiculous photos of her in her red light mask and other contraptions, and it's
blue light too.
You're funny, man. There's
listen. We send each other, but it's about doing that, even if it's just skincare, doing something for yourself, because I find that calming and relaxing as well.
Yeah.
So
So that's the thing is, are there physical modalities with which it could be part of filling your cup? And to me, I think red light therapy absolutely fills that tank. For me, the other one is hot sauna, right? For those of you with hot sauna or a sauna blanket, like a lot of people in our programs, it's almost like a sleeping bag that has some of the blankets combine the heat with red light therapy as well. So there's many ways with which there are physical things that you can do. And I also shout out to Sensate. There's a Sensate device, which a lot of people in our programs use. We could share, I think we might have a link to it where you can save $50 on it. But I love using the Sensate device as well. I'll do that sometime in the middle of the day where the device, you listen with the ear pods, it lays on your chest and vibrates on your chest right against your vagus nerve. And so your chest is the closest place where your vagus nerve is to your skin. So the device actually sits on your chest and vibrates along with the music in your ears. And the pairing of that really raises your vagal tone, which really fills your calming and energetic cup. So there are physical ways with which modalities, whether it's red light therapy, whether it's sauna, and for many people, Melt Method, shout out to Sue Hitzman and Melt Method. I mean, I do that rebalance sequence every single night. And how many of you guys have a physical movement practice that you can do at home on your own device, on your own time, that refills your physical tank, right?
Combine these things. Like I'll do the Melt Method while I'm standing in front of my red light.
It's no extra time.
Yes, it's no extra time. You can incorporate those into aspects of your life. And these things really do help. And just to answer a question really quick, they want to know, what does the blue light do? The blue light for me is when I'm having like acne breakouts and I want to focus on it's healing and it's antibacterial. I think it can even be antiviral. Mm-hmm. But more red light for me. That's blue light's just occasional, but it's these things like you're mentioning, they really can make a difference. So it's changing that mindset.
Yeah.
And you do a lot of focus on this in your program as well about mind growth.
I do. Can we take that banner down? That'd be great. I just wanted to, there's too many banners going. Sorry, visual field overload, just so you know.
We're overload.
There's like 2 messages going at once. All right, so what I want to do is, I want you guys, we went over fatigue, right? And we used Emma's case study and story to share with you. Now, Emma is very shy and did not want to be on social media. So I want you guys to give her a boom in chat. And those of you that went through the program with Emma, her pod buddies and pod mamas and papas, if you can type in chat, let's give a boom in chat for Emma for joining us and being a real life case study. Because up until this point, I've known Emma for 6 months, but she's always been like, oh, I'm shy for social media, all this stuff. And she was on. I mean, man, she was cool as a cucumber. Her dog was barking. She was carrying the dog and everything.
Yeah, everybody's saying good job, Emma. And it sometimes can be a little bit overwhelming and nerve-wracking to share your story and to talk about this in such a public way. But just imagine all of these people, there were so many people who chimed in and said, I can relate to your story. I can connect with you. Yeah. And then you're helping people because maybe somebody out there is dealing with some of the things that you were dealing with 6 months ago. And now they're seeing, okay, there's light. There's something I can do about this. So I hope that you feel that you made an impact because you definitely did.
Thank you.
What I would like to do is anybody, if there's any other resources that we shared and you're interested in it, you can type in chat what were some of the resources, trainings. Hop over to our YouTube channel because there's playlists, by the way. If you go to my YouTube channel, there's a link to the YouTube channel. There are playlists specific. I mean, I got every diagnosis, every symptom covered over there. If you want to learn more, get yourself educated, get yourself validated, educated and validated. That would be my biggest takeaway from dealing with fatigue, right? And then Cindy said, boom, Emma, you had me crying in 360 yesterday, celebrating you and your success. Oh,
thank you.
You had me ugly cry yesterday, Emma.
I was crying. There were so many people.
And why were we crying? Is it because when you think about your journey from wheelchair and bedridden to an active, vibrant woman now?
Yeah, and working again, independence. I think that's what made us all emotional. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And if you guys want to reach out to us for help with any of these symptoms, if you want to reach out to us, we have programs. We have several different programs, including the thyroid program. We have a hormone masterclass. We have a food mapping masterclass. And we also have the main transform program. And here's the thing. We also have a ton of other resources. The book, if you want to reach out to us and book a chat with our team to see if there's any way that we can help you, any resources we can serve you with, just go ahead and book a chat with our team. We'll share a link where you can book a call with our team. You can also text our team as well. So those are both options for you to reach out to give us a holler as to what we can help you with. And otherwise, I think that's a wrap. Anything to finish us up with, Anne?
Yeah, I just want to thank Emma for being vulnerable and sharing your story. Somebody chimed in and said, you're giving me a lot of hope today. And other people saying thank you to Dr. Maggie for all of this amazing information. So I've enjoyed being a part of this discussion, and just thank you to both of you.
That's a wrap, everybody. Have a good night. See you next week.